Old aces and wild cards. Deal out a blind set for your earthy friends. Weigh your fate against the devil's dirty stack. And see if you can beat the devouring ravages of time with a dead man's hand.
Ugh, it's time to talk Tull to me. The dead man's hand. I wouldn't want to do anything to a dead man's hand. It's a hand of glory. You can use a dead man's hand to make a hand of glory.
If you sit on your hand for long enough, it'll feel like a dead man's hand.
Then you can do a lot of things with that. Someone else is picking my nose.
Welcome back. I am Owen Cheide.
And I am Nick McGill.
Together we are Feckless Moans.
And this is Talk Tull to Me.
A high-stakes game of chance in the ancient roundhouse of prog rock, in which No Limit Nick and Offsuit Omen do our best to stack the deck with every single track that suspiciously lucky prog rock band Jethro Tull has ever produced. We will semi-bluff with Salamander, drop a deuce on Driving Song, and borrow enough for a buy-in on Baker Street Muse, all while hoping to beat the inevitable straight flute flush held by card shark Ian Ante-Up Anderson.
I know you were doing the card theme, but you know drop a deuce has multi-meaning, right?
Hey, I am not responsible for what happens in the minds of others, Nick. I just do my job. Don't worry about the rest.
I don't think we were...
I drop a deuce on my job every day.
I'm so proud of you, Omen.
I'm a betting man.
So
Nick,
effective.
hello.
Hello, Omen. Hello. Welcome back. Here we are.
Your hair is finally long enough to really put into a proper top knot. I'm very proud of you.
It is. It's getting pretty luscious. I like it.
It's exciting. What do we've got a big day in store today.
Got a big deuce lined up for our listeners today. We've got a lot to cover, so I think we're going to jump right in. Before we get into the song itself, we've got a little housekeeping. Mary Marley, if you don't mind.
And Marley.
Thank you so very much,
Thanks.
Mary, for delivering that. Oh,
Thanks, Marley.
Sorry, Mary, why are you holding those bricks?
Oh.
You said you always wanted to live closer to the cafe.
What?
Yeah. Oh, you're not.
I'm moving it brick by brick to next door.
Mary, were you given permission to do that?
Do they know that you're doing that?
I got to get a new pickaxe. This one's dull.
All right.
Not the best way to do it.
Go put those bricks back, please. And I will write a letter of apology to the Starbucks.
It's Theseus's Starbucks. No, Perseus. Is it Perseus? No, it's Theseus, right?
It's Theseus.
Yeah.
Oh, look. So I have an email here. Looks like a new writer-inner.
Oh, new writer-inner.
White Innocence.
An S. Christopherson writes, subject, Tull not for women, ?
It's not accusatory for what it's worth.
We'll find out soon
I'd
enough.
pull back on that tone.
Message. Ever since I discovered a torn and worn version of the Aqualung album in my father's dusty vinyl collection, I've been a die-hard Tull fan. I was 13 at the time, and now, almost 30 years on, I still love their music to death. Not many artists have such a firm grip on my heart and soul, which makes it all the more baffling that almost none of my friends like Tull at all. Women especially seem to have a problem with the band, and after having listened to several of your anecdotes and discussions, it seems this is a common trend. Why is this, do you think? Is Tull considered too macho? Too vulgar? I would love to hear your opinion on this. P.S. I love hearing you mispronounce Norwegian words, me being Norwegian and all. It's very brave and charming. It always makes me chuckle. Truly love your podcast. Keep talking Tull to me. Heart emoticon. Well, always wonderful to have a Norwegian listener. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Your English is embarrassingly good, of course.
Because he's not American, that's why. That's why his English is
that's
so
why.
good. We ourselves have...
Our women.
Oh, surprise. We do ourselves have plenty of female listeners, fans of the podcast who are therefore by the law of deduction, fans of Jethro Tull, I'm assuming.
Indeed.
And we've got a couple who are active and vocal in our Discord on Patreon. Jump on in if you want, $5 a month. But yeah, I mean, they do seem to be an outlier.
I would say that the trend is that there are a higher percentage of the Tull fandom are of the man persuasion than the smarter sex. I think it partially is due to the fact that Jethro Tull is a very male comprised band.
Yeah, I think that certainly is a factor. I think I want to pull back a little bit and maybe just umbrella it under classic rock. You know, Tull can be considered a classic rock band, and Ray hates classic rock just as much as she hates Tull. So, like, maybe it's the genre itself. I certainly don't think it's a matter of machismo.
Well, I think, Nick, that there may be a certain level of, historical sexism in rock and roll.
Sure.
I mean, a lot of rock and roll artists are men, and a lot of rock and roll is on the subject of, I am a super big, strong, sexy man, and all the women are going to get with me, and I'm not going to necessarily describe them in super respectful terms in my song.
Yeah.
Even Jethro Tull could be, accused of having some lines that border on that kind of cultural sexism.
Yeah.
And so that might be a turnoff for many female listeners.
Yeah. Ray just doesn't like Ian's voice. I mean, that's always been her main excuse. So
yeah.
And it's not a super melodious. It's not Journey, It's not that high pitch, like really presentational operatic. It's not Queen.
Is there something, Nick, do you think is there something to be pointed out that perhaps in our Western culture in the 20th and 21st centuries, women are conditioned from birth to like a certain sound or to be expected to like a certain sound. And so perhaps if we lived in a less binary culture, maybe there would be less of a stigma for women liking Tull. Maybe there would be more women who liked Tull.
I think that's pretty darn valid. I mean, the era that they came from, and I mean, even when we were kids, stuff was so compartmentalized. Colors were for boys and girls. Sounds were for boys and girls. Activities were for boys and girls.
Well, and that's still very prevalent.
Yeah, I mean, I think our generation is really trying to change that. With our brood, now that we are having kids, we're trying to make a dent in that. But and I think in a sense there are companies that are recognizing that and tweaking the way that they advertise things and produce things to respond to that. So I think we are making something of a change. But in terms of this sound from the 70s and the 80s, it's all baked in, it's all ingrained. So I think that has a lot to do with it too. I think that's super valid. I
sort of dated a woman in college who was a Tull fan.
Did you say sort of dated? So only the...
She may not have considered us to be dating.
Oh, you did. It was a half dating situation.
We went on some dates.
Okay.
She was very, very nice and a very good musician. And she actually gave me a vintage Tull shirt.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who was that?
I don't remember her name.
Do you seriously?
I would have to think about it really hard.
Oh, it was the Songs from the Wood shirt, right?
Yes, it was.
Oh man, that was such a cool shirt. Okay, well thank you, S. Christofferson.
Yes, tusen takk for brevet dit.
So offensive.
We are now at war with Norway. Nick, what else do we have before we dive into the meat of the matter?
Next up, we have Joe dropped this in the Discord in regards to Dark Ages. And we also got a submission on our YouTube as well from Matt Duda Music.
Oh.
How is that weird ghost reverse sound done? We asked that at Dark Ages.
Yes, we did.
How did they get that weird, like, pre-echo?
Mm-hmm.
So, step one, after you record it, you turn the tape over. You physically flip the tape. You apply a reverb effect to that one portion that you want that echo on. Then you flip the tape back over and then play it. So now the reverb is
Goes in
backwards.
reverse.
So it's coming from the front instead of the back.
That is so extraordinary.
And Matt says, knowing this, imagine how many times Ian turned the tapes over, put right hand reel on left and vice versa, to mix the song we're about to get into, Dun Ringill. Nowadays, digital recording technology makes it nearly trivial to reverse tracks, apply reverb, and reverse back to forward, resulting in backward reverb. It will be cool to see you add this trick to one of your future episodes. Perhaps Dun Ringill. And, Omen, you have not heard this yet, but I actually did it with our ghost outro sketch from last week.
OMG.
Yeah.
I am looking forward to hearing that. I just tried to do it myself. It didn't work.
Accurate.
Let's move on.
Totally accurate. So thank you, Matt, for that. Thank you, Joe, for that. Super
Yes,
useful.
thank you for dropping that deuce of knowledge on
I'm
us.
so glad that you guys shared that because I got very excited about it and had a lot of fun tweaking both of our vocal tracks and trying to get it right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that is it for that. Just real quick, I want to do a real quick plug before we get into the song itself today.
Please, plug away.
Plug away. There is a new podcast that I discovered. It's called Weird Walk.
Ah.
It is an English actor basically exploring all sorts of mythology and lore and stuff in England, in the UK. And the first episode he did is all about the Green Man.
Oh, that's so fantastic.
So they talk about like the big men carved into the chalk like on the side of hills. They talk
Sure.
about Jack and the Green. They talk about the Morris dancing Green Man. And
Right.
super fascinating. It's only 25 minutes, and the music in there is lovely. It's great folk music. So I would highly recommend it. I really, really dug the episode.
Yeah, I've got it all lined up in my podcast queue for the next time that I take a run.
It is called Weird Walk. Again, highly recommended. Now, Omen, the episode at hand,
Yes.
we are going to talk Dun Ringill.
Dun Ringill.
Before we listen, I've got some notes.
Please drop those notes on me like a deuce.
Consistency. That's what I really appreciate about you, working with you. I can always rely on you. Okay, so Dun Ringill was recorded at Popley's with the Maison Rouge Mobile Studio.
Oh, okay.
July 18th of 79. The second take was the master.
Wow.
This is a particular favorite of Ian's. It's very much about the Isle of Skye, which makes sense because it is talking about a physical, actual location on Skye. So Dun Ringill is a real place. It's a not preserved, but still identifiable beehive-shaped Iron Age hill fort. The song is a little like Jack and the Green, where Ian just built the song himself in the studio.
Wait a minute. Are you saying that he's the only musician on the track?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
I did not
it's
know
just
that.
acoustic and singing, so...
Yeah, I looked up a little bit of information about the historical Dun Ringill site. It's about 2,000 years old, the original structures.
Yeah, the first years of CE, like literally, yeah.
And for several centuries, it was the seat of Clan McKinnon.
Uh-huh.
So all the Clan McKinnon folks out there, great to have you listening. Thank you for tuning in.
Shout out to Clan McKinnon, yep.
Yep.
It is also a literal walking distance from Kilmarie House, the house that Ian owned on Skye until 94.
Indeed.
The fort itself is called a broch, B-R-O-C-H.
Yes.
It's a hollow walled structure that's found in Scotland. They belong to the classification, quote, complex Atlantic roundhouse that was devised by Scottish archaeologists in the 80s. Their origin is a matter of some controversy, according to Wikipedia.
Yes, and we'll get into roundhouses a bit more next album. Nope, 2 albums from now
Will we?
with Broadsword.
Oh, okay, sure.
I think we should jump into it, Nick.
Okay, let's listen to this beauty. Dun Ringill. Here we go.
Run Dingle.
Run, everybody run your dingle.
We can cut that out.
No, you just said
disgusting.
drop a deuce like 9 times. We're keeping run your dingle.
And the Stormwatch grows a joining faintly scored, and the Stormwatch grows a concert of kings as the White Sea snaps at the heels of a soft prayer whispered.
Nick,
Wow. Oh,
I am soaking wet
from the sea spray
from the sea
by
spray.
Ringill. Yeah.
Yeah.
2.5 minutes. That
Oh,
song.
really?
Yeah. I wish it was longer.
It feels longer.
I wish that we could have. I wish this were a 5-minute baby. It's you
could play it twice.
You could be my 5-minute baby. I could. I mean, I did have it on repeat while I was prepping the episode and everything. So yeah.
My doctor says I shouldn't listen to Ringill more than 3 times in a row, 3 times per day.
Yeah. If you do, you should consult him immediately. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why I have my inhaler.
Yeah. I'm just worried about your heart.
That's Nick, this song, let me ask you this question.
Please do. Please ask me this question.
When you put this album into a flour sifter
Uh-huh.
to remove the chaff,
Uh-huh.
the chaff,
Yeah. Good.
and make sure that you get just pure flour,
Mm-hmm.
what part? Wow, that metaphor really, really took a left turn.
You need to keep going with it. You committed. I want.
Oh,
I
you're
want
right.
you to
You're right.
finish it.
Okay, and then you bake that flour into a cake.
Oh God, I regret this.
Does this song make it into the cake, or does it stay in the sifter?
Oh my God, this song makes it into the cake. Absolutely.
The song is the tenderest morsel of wheat.
This is the gluten to the bread. Like, this is important.
It is.
Yeah.
If you try to make a gluten-free Stormwatch album,
You would take this part out, but it's not quite the same.
it would never be the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Everyone would hate it.
This is one of my favorite songs off this album. This
is one of my favorite songs of this era, I would say.
Yeah, I think that might be it. I'd have to go back and look, but I think you're right. Like, it is beautiful. It is such a good song. I love
It's spooktastic. It gives
Yeah.
me the chills.
Yep. It's sticking with the spooky and the dark feel. You're right. Yeah.
As the kids say, it is a vibe.
It is a vibe. I'm not going to tell you which one, but it's a
That's
vibe.
for you to find out.
You tell me.
But there is something so incredibly atmospheric about this song, and
Yeah.
it's got such an incredible use of. We talked about the reverse reverb.
Yeah.
The reverse verb, and also sound effects. What I never realized is that the instrumentation of this song is actually incredibly simple.
It is.
I always had it in my mind as being much more complex, but I think the complexity comes from all of the sound effects and all the layering of sound that comes in
Yeah.
with those simple elements.
He really built a complex sound on the structure of a single acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
That does not change its strumming or anything, right? It's just like ding, 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 ding. It's a simple strum pattern the whole way through.
Right. I mean, he's playing the guitar in such a way where he is incorporating a bass line
Yeah.
into it.
Yep.
Dum 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 ba dum 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 ba dum.
Whispered.
Clear light on a slick pump.
I wondered for a moment if perhaps it was actually 2 guitar tracks, and it could be, but it could
maybe.
as easily be 1 guitar track. It
Yeah.
really is hard to say.
Yeah, it was just him in the studio doing this. But I mean, I think he's that good of a guitarist at this point.
And it certainly fits with his style, the way that he
Yeah.
plays the guitar on other tracks. It's easy to imagine him playing all of the elements that you hear with the guitar just in one
In
fell
one
swoop.
go. Yeah, I think so.
It's not out of his ability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's great. It's lovely. It's another. I honestly that this is built in the same way that Jack in the Green was in terms of just Ian going into the studio and doing it on his own. I like this one better than Jack in the Green. I think he has matured musically, and he's clearly exploring more with just the experience that he can provide with the guitar. That's
interesting.
Jack in the Green is not that it's simple, mind you, but I think he relies on much more, even though this has a lot of pieces working just in terms of the voices and layers, but it still sounds so much simpler.
I think it's quite different. I mean, I think that besides him going in and recording it, and then of course thematically, there's some things that are very similar across the board. But
Sure.
I think the approach of this is really different because with Jack and the Green, he went in and said, "Okay, I'm going to play these 4 instruments."
Yeah.
This, he really took a different approach, which is I'm going to play the song and then, like you said, have that as the base layer, and then what are all of the things that how can I enrich it and make it, just like you said, an experience. I mean, I think it's such an interesting approach.
It is. It's interesting, and it's very unique for Tull too.
It is. And very appropriate to this album.
Yeah.
This kind of the Sky experience.
I think so, yeah. Trademark, the Sky experience, trademark. I think it's not like we don't hear building and layering and complexity on other songs. I mean, that is your quintessential Tull song.
Right.
But it's all these other instruments. It's all these other musicians bringing their own pieces. So it's everybody's contribution as opposed to just Ian creating this child of music.
This is it's so conceptual and so abstract almost, some of the way that he approaches it. It almost, he's really giving you like a visceral experience of walking on the island of Skye.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the Isle of Skye.
Isle. It's an isle, Omen.
Pick up on Isle of Skye too.
Splashed some seagulls.
We've already been talking about the music, but let's break it down in our traditional fashion.
Sure.
The first thing that we hear is our weatherman.
That's right. Francis Wilson is back. Remember,
In the shipping forecast.
He was from North Sea Oil originally. The first one that we heard from him was North Sea Oil.
More originally from the BBC,
Well,
probably.
No, I mean, Ian Anderson made him who he was.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. The BBC was like, that guy who was on the Stormwatch album, we need him.
But that was just a reading of the shipping forecast. This, I think, starts with the shipping forecast and then just seamlessly moves into a couplet of the
lyrics.
song. Yeah.
The weather's on the change. Ice clouds lies join in faint discord. Lies join in faint discord. And the stormwatch lies join in faint discord. And the stormwatch brews a concert of kings as the white sea snaps at the heels of a soft prayer.
So what I'm curious about is all of that the voice of Francis Wilson, or does it start as Francis Wilson and then does it transition to Ian Anderson reading the lyrics?
I think it's all Francis Wilson. I think it is. I think it sounds
all Effie Wills.
all Frank Wills all day. Yeah, I think it's him the whole time. I don't think the voice changes enough or at all, to indicate that it's Ian. I think Ian's voice is distinct enough that we would recognize that change.
It's so brilliant the way it's composed. I mean, the first thing you hear is the weather's on the change.
Yeah.
And I've never has such ominous feeling been conveyed with such a calm and relaxed delivery.
Very, very sterile, very matter of fact. I'm not gonna tell you batten down the hatches. That's up to you to decide. Just letting you know we're getting a storm.
The weather's on the change.
The weather's on the change. A lot of echo
Immediate chills
in there.
Yes, a lot of echo, a lot of reverb, a lot of layered voices over each other.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's even an echo. I think it's more just a layering of that same voice track staggered. It's so, because there's no degradation. It's very clear each time, and it almost becomes a round.
And the stormwatch brews as the white sea snaps at the heels of a soft prayer. After that, we have the guitar come in.
Clear light on a slick pond.
Which is amazing. I mean, it's really, and there's a difference between this guitar playing and, let's say, Life is a Long Song.
Mm-hmm.
It's a similar technique, and we have Ian's kind of trademark strumming approach.
Yep. Okay.
But this is so much. The tempo of it is very slow. Dum, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Dun.
Well, it certainly matches the darkness of the album. It matches the darkness of the song.
Yes.
And I think it lends that kind of comfortable dare I say, almost mournful pace, tied with these layers and layers of echo and reverb and reverse reverb, gives a sense of lack of control, and there's like a magic in the air.
Well, and I think that's what, for me, gives me the feeling that I am walking along the cliffside on this remote Scottish island, with the wind just tearing around you.
Oh yeah, you are hunched. Your shoulders are up to your ears.
But you're dressed properly as well, and so there's that kind of sense of like existing with the environment and being, like you said, a tiny fleck of human matter in the environment that in a moment could be blown off the cliff, or you sort of just become pure observation and experience.
I like that. That's kind of how I feel about this song is the human aspect in this song, the I and we and you, they are foreign bodies in this more encompassing natural element.
And not only are you kind of stuck on this vast y-axis of nature and the sea and the rocks, you're also stuck in this crazy x-axis, which is the 2,000 years stretching in every direction of history that surrounds this physical environment.
Right.
And then the z-axis of spirituality.
Yeah.
Where all these things, kind of combine, and you have that feeling of like, wow, I am so insignificant. How nice.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, it's as long as it allows you to live there, enjoy it, I guess, until the gods rise up. Yeah.
We have some incredible sound effects. I mean, this is not, of course, the first use of sound effects in Tull. I'm thinking back to the tea cup being stirred in
War
Queen
Child.
Country? War Child?
Yeah. Well, the whole album, we had those interstitial sounds.
Yes.
Kind of telling, like, snippets in between telling us the story, or what limited story we could tell.
And this is, similar in that it provides you a sense of environment, but the environment is a lot vaster. You have the thunderclap.
Attila's voice comes through. Lights join and fame discord.
That happens kind of halfway through the song. We have the seagulls
at the end. Yep. We get actual harmony, not just an echo or reverb. We get harmony on A Concert of Kings.
A concert of kings. As the white sea snaps.
Ian throws that in, and I think he harmonizes just on like the following line, but everything else, it goes back to what he was doing there. But yeah, gulls at the very end. The thunder is at force comes through. So it's pretty much smack dab in the middle. At the very beginning, I never noticed it until I started listening to it today. We get Ian saying 6.
6.
So he must have counted himself in and left the 6 at the very beginning.
I don't know if that's a count in, only because...
Like, why would you be counting to 6?
Yeah, because I think it's in 4/4 time.
Oh, maybe it's take... Oh, no, but this is take 2.
I think it's related to the weather. I think this is the 6 o'clock weather.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Is it track 6 off the album?
No, it's 8. It's actually 8.
So weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a mystery. I think my best guess is it's referring to 6 in the morning or 6 in the evening.
Interesting.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, I never noticed it until now. But yeah, the count, that's a great point, is it's not in 6, so why would it be?
6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't think it's in 6 anything.
Could it be 8/8 and he just didn't do the 7/8,
Oof. I'm not sure.
I'm sure Joe will chip in here and tell us that we're all wrong.
He'll serve us some chips.
It's 3.15 over the radius.
I observed a wonderful moment of English language train wreck, English language bottleneck.
Keep going. Yeah.
When my father-in-law was looking at something on a menu and was trying to describe what fried pickles were, or he was like, "Oh yes, it's a." He was like, "Oh yes, it's a pickle, but it's a chip, a crisp, a fry." Just got completely turned around.
Oh, those wacky Brits.
Yep. No.
A chip for them is a French fry. Crisp
Right.
for them is a potato
chip. And a fry,
fry is
for them is anything fried.
just fried, right?
Oh,
Yeah, okay.
Or a plate of fried things.
Yeah. So he was close to being right on all accounts.
And wrong in every sense.
In every way.
Nick, shall we dive into the lyrics?
Let's do lyrics here.
I will admit when I need help. And Nick, I need help with the lyrics.
Okay.
No, but I'll say where I'm good and I'll say where I'm bad.
Okay.
Good in the streets, bad in the sheets.
But like bad, like good though, right?
Oh yeah, like sick.
Or no, like actually bad and sick. I need help immediately.
I need to see the doctor. These, I understand these lyrics from far away,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
but when I get close, it's like a pointillism painting. It's like a Matisse.
You kind of lose sight of it.
I can see the red dot. I have no idea what the red dot is part of. Then when I pull back, I don't see the red dot, but I see the whole picture.
I see where the red is. Yeah.
You know, the lyrics to me really add to this feeling of walking along the cliffside, going to see this ancient, thousands of year old site. But clear light on a slick palm? Slip the night from a shaved pack?
Clear light on a slick palm as a misty of the day. Slip the night from a shade pack. Make a marked card play.
Well, the night, I think, should be KNIGHT. I think that's the jack, because the next line is make a marked card play. He's pulling the marked jack out. It's a high enough suit that he can trump whatever card game they're playing.
What is a shaved pack?
When you mark your cards, if you have the deck and you mark it, everything is a standard deck of cards is everything is the normal size. But if you've marked a card, you've cut a corner just a little bit. So if you're feeling with your thumb and you fan the cards, it'll naturally stop there when you stop. So it looks like, I'm
interesting.
just picking a random spot. Oh, it stopped here. I'll pick that first card. And it's the one that you know what it is.
You've affected the mechanics of the cards a little bit.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So, but Nick, why all the card metaphor? Why all the deck of card metaphor for this? Is he gambling with his time? Is he gambling with his? Because I mean, there's a sense to me that it's a little bit like old ghosts.
Okay. Yeah.
Where he likes to take walks. Who doesn't? The English are obsessed with it. The Scots maybe more so. And so there's this sense of like, yeah, he's going for a walk, and there's some inevitable force that's pulling him down to the old graveyard or pulling him over to the old ruin of Dun Ringill.
Yeah.
Is he sort of gambling by going outside, knowing that he could be pulled off to any of these ancient sites?
I think it might be dual meaning. I think some of it is like, oh, he's just killing time until he goes down to Dun Ringill, because there's clearly a specific time that he wants to be there to experience something. So I think he's just like he's cheating at cards while he's waiting for that to happen. But also I think that's right. I mean, the weather on the Isle of Skye is not great. Especially if you go out at night, it's going to be even more dangerous. So yeah, he is playing cards here. He is gambling with his life. Make a marked card play, call twilight hours down from a heaven home, high above the highest bidder for the good Lord's throne.
Call twilight hours down from a heaven home, high above the highest bidder for the good Lord's throne.
High above the highest bidder, you can max your bid. You can go all in. You can cheat and cheat and cheat and whatever. But the good Lord is ultimately the arbiter of who wins and who loses.
Right. Also, Ringill is on it's a fort, so of course it's on high ground.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that has, it's high above the highest bidder.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Physically. It is physically above. Yeah. Yeah. And it also overlooks a lock, which could be very dangerous in poor weather if you get too close.
Because of the sea monsters.
Yeah. The lock.
Slapping.
Oh, slapping. It's
right next to Loch Bumpin'.
Yep. Yeah, it is.
And
it is right there.
Across the island from Loch Twerkin.
Loch Twerkin. That's what Clan McKinnon is known for. So I think that's kind of what that gambling card story tells us in that first half of the song. I think.
Yeah, I think that's as close as we're going to get. There may be meaning. There may be. I feel like there are layers of meaning which we will not uncover, and that feels appropriate.
And that's okay. Yeah, exactly. Because we'll never be able to uncover all of the layers in this song, even sonically. So.
Yeah.
So.
Now the bit that's clear for me is the second verse. We'll wait in stone circles till the force comes through. Lines join in faint discord as a storm watch brews.
We'll wait in stone circles until the force comes through. Lines join in faint discord, and the storm watch brews.
Just taking that by itself, I mean, that seems to be a kind of a callback to the concept of the Lee lines that we talked about back in Songs from the Wood.
Yep.
That there are these
straight
lines
track
of energy and power which run through land, and especially the British Isles.
Yeah.
And at the junctions of these points are these stone circles, which allowed the ancient druids to harness some of that natural energy. And it could be that Ringill is one of those sites or is connected to one of those sites somehow.
Yeah, I wonder if this is mentioned in, was it the Golden Bough that has all of the different ley lines and the straight track and all that? Was that the Golden Bough that he was
I
reading?
think that does talk about it. And then there was the book that he specifically was reading, which was, I forget what it was called.
Yeah, it was just like English.
It was more specifically about England.
Yeah. We get into more descriptions of the White Sea snapping. It's in the wee hours down by Ringill. And then finally, and I'll take you quickly down by Ringill.
Lord, I'll take you quickly. Oh, by Ringill.
Is that, Nick, referring to the sex?
I think it might be. I think there are some other options that, if it is sex, I get the sense of we are so enwrapped by being in the center and experiencing and visualizing this ancient primal magic that is whipping about us. Our base desires show themselves, and we turn into animals and do what animals do.
Or the same thing but slightly differently said.
Same thing, but the right way. Yeah.
Is that sex almost becomes like a sacrifice, like an alternative to slaying an animal. Instead of slaying an animal, you're having sex.
Yeah, you're giving something.
You know where I've always wanted to have sex, Nick?
Do I know where you've always wanted to have sex?
Yeah, this is a little confession.
In a bed.
I've always wanted to sleep in a bed. No, the way that you would thresh grain in the ancient world was you'd put it all into a big pile, and then you'd get everyone with their threshing sticks and stand in a circle and beat the heck out of it with your threshing sticks. And that, over the course of time, that would create a flat spot, and those flat, round spots were actually the origin site for theater back in the day. After the threshing was all done, that was considered like a sacred site, and so people would sit around that circle and hang out. And the first performances ever, with Thespis would happen on those beaten circular sites. But the beating of the ground over all that time of the evening would actually warm the ground. Always wanted to have sex on one of those.
I thought you were going to say on a pile of grain, but...
No, the grain is already swept up, and
okay.
the ground is left hot and beaten.
That's
and charged with...
so specific.
With agricultural energy. We can cut all that out.
Nope, we're keeping it. Could it also just be an acknowledgement of how dangerous this situation is in terms of weather and whatnot? That I'll take you quickly is I'll just take you for a walk. I'll bring you to Dun Ringill and we'll kind of just keep on going.
Is he talking to himself? Is he
Oh, possibly.
Is he bargaining with himself to say, I have this desire to go see Dun Ringill. No, it's too dangerous. Well, I'll just take you there.
We'll do it quickly. Okay. Or also tied in maybe with the sexy thing is it kind of a predator-prey thing?
I'll pounce on you quickly.
Yeah.
Could be.
In which case it's not a sex sacrifice, it's a blood sacrifice.
Which, truly, what's the difference?
They're not much as I've experienced things.
I am a mandated reporter, Nick, and I am going to have to tell someone about that.
Tell Raven. I think that's...
I love Concert of Kings.
A concert of kings as the white sea snaps.
Like, it makes me think that, if this was the site of, thousands of years of the rulers of this area making that their stronghold, if you think about all of the kings over 200 years whose presences and souls are still there, the wind could remind you of, this concert of 100 kings. It's fabulous.
I think ultimately if we pull back and look at this pointillism picture that we're looking at here,
Please, let's.
It's another instance of there's this greater, older, more primal, basic magic that is going on. It's beyond your knowledge, but we've seen this several times now. Of Ian is privy to this magic, just in the sense that he knows that it's there, that he can take us there, and not only does he know, he's got a +1. He can invite us to experience that as well.
That's such a great way of saying it. I mean, I can't even make fun of you, which is, what I usually do.
I don't know what to do now.
No, but I love that. It's not like you say, he doesn't understand everything about it, but he understands that he doesn't understand everything about it, and he has respect for it. And because of his status as a bard tapping into that ancient kind of druidic role, he can bring us along for the journey. Yeah. I can only take you there for 2 minutes, but I can take you there.
You have to hold my hand the whole time, otherwise you won't be safe.
He's Virgiling us.
A little bit, yeah.
Get Virgiled!
He's the storyteller. He is the guide. And he knows how to traverse this place safely.
Yeah, which is best done from a distance of thousands of miles while you listen to your record player.
Yeah, exactly.
But that is what it is. He's giving us I think you nailed it, Nick. You nailed it on this little pointillism head. He's taking us to Dun Ringill, a place where almost no one has ever gotten to go.
Yeah.
Because it's so remote, and because no one has known about it for so long.
But he is. It's like a lot of traditions. If nobody remembers you disappear in the afterlife. It's Coco. It's Chinese heritage tradition. He's keeping this story going. As long as this album survives, the magic that is Dun Ringill is still there, can still be there.
It's also, it reminds me of, like, if you go to somewhere dangerous, it's good to have a native guide.
Sure.
Like when I go to Disney, it's very good for me. I would probably die if I didn't have my wife, who is a Disney native.
She's born and raised there. She knows all the back roads. She can throw an elbow like the best of them.
It's true, and she knows the safe spots and the places to slip between.
Yeah. Because she works there, not just she is an obsessive, but she also has the
insider knowledge.
The insider knowledge, yeah, thank you. Yeah. That's what I was going for.
Dun Ringill, the Disney World of the Island of Skye.
That's it. That's what he was
as
going
it's
for.
often is called. Disney World, the Dun Ringill of Central Florida.
Yeah, there it is.
Imagine, Nick, in 2,000 years from now, a bard writing a spooky song about, I can take you to the ruins of Disney World.
Down by Disney.
Biden Ringill.
Omen,
Nick.
something we haven't done this album yet, and we are due because this is the penultimate episode. Shall we talk review for this album, for Stormwatch? I know that the album was not received well, and I know that the subsequent tour was not received well, but I don't have any details. What do you got for me?
How come you know better than me that this is not love? This is not love.
Well, I can tell you that the Rolling Stone review is not findable. I don't know if it never existed, if Rolling Stone declined to review this album, but I do have a review here from allmusic.com. I don't know the timing of this review, but it is written by Bruce Elder. And it begins thusly. Stormwatch marked the end of an era in Jethro Tull's history as the last album on which longtime members Barrymore Barlow, John Evan, and Dee Palmer participated, and the final appearance of bassist John Glasscock, who played on 3 of the cuts. Anderson supplied the bass elsewhere, and died following open-heart surgery a few weeks after its release. Anderson's inspiration seemed to be running out here, his writing covering environmental concerns, North Sea oil, and very scattershot social topical criticism, Dark Ages. The fire is still there in some of the hard rock passages, especially on Dark Ages, but most of the songs generally lack the craftsmanship and inspiration of such albums as Minstrel in the Gallery or Heavy Horses, much less Aqualung.
Huh.
Just when Something's on the Move seems like it could be the most tuneless track in Tull's history, Old Ghosts and Ringill follow it with even less memorable melodic material. The latter in particular proved that Anderson's well of folk-inspired tunes was also running dry, apart from the instrumental Warm Sporen. I mean, I disagree heartily with Bruce Elder. I don't think that Ian's inspiration was running dry. Ian has said that there were tensions in the band which contributed to some of the dark sound.
Yeah.
I think that Ian's inspiration has turned a little bit more inward on this album, and that he is really beginning to describe his experience. I mean, this song is a perfect example, as is Old Ghosts.
Yeah.
He's describing his experience of walking rather than saying, I'm the minstrel in the gallery, I'm going to paint you this picture.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more internal, which I think is very appropriate for the trajectory of the band. And I think this album brings me as a listener to a more introspective place, which is equally valid and in some ways maybe more valuable than the kind of blast your face off hot guitar licks of previous albums. I mean, I like every album.
Yeah. Its scope is grander in the sense that it's environmental and social and economic, but it is coming from a very personal place.
Yes.
And I think Bruce the Elder is very, very incorrect here. And I generally try to
respect your elders.
Respect
but in
my
this case,
elders and understand, or at least try to understand where an opinion is coming from. But I think that is weak ass, Bruce. That is weak ass. What are we doing next week, Omen?
Next week, Nick, we are setting sail with The Flying Dutchman.
That's right. The final track off of the album proper. We'll still have 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll still have 5 more bonus tracks, bonus episodes after that.
Ooh, lordy.
Because for the third of them, we're combining Kelpie and King Henry's Madrigal. But got 5 more after that. The 9th track will be Flying Dutchman.
A track I love.
Remember that technically on the album, Elegy is the final track, but we combined that with Warm Sporen a couple of weeks ago because
we sure did.
We had 2 instrumentals. So come on back next week for Flying Dutchman. Fly on back next week.
In the meantime, it is always a safe bet. It is a Royal Flush to deal yourself 5 stars, which you can give to us on Apple Music. And why not while you're at
Apple
it?
Podcasts.
And while you're at it, why not put in all your chips with a positive review anywhere you like?
You don't need to worry about being the highest bidder on Patreon. All you got to do, everybody pays the same bid. Just $5 a month, you get access to the Discord. You get access to bonus episodes. We have Outtake Tull to Me, which is cutting room floor chicanery. And we just finished a run of Talk Tull With Me, which is us discussing correspondences. But now we're going to change it up a little bit starting
Got
this
something
year.
fresh and new in the works.
Something so fresh and so clean.
If you want to find out what it is, you can pay us $5 a month, and that'll be great.
Yeah.
And you can join the concert of kings who have already donated and join them in discussing all sorts of things, from cats to cooking to even the works of Jethro Tull.
Did you say the works or worst of Jethro Tull?
The works.
Until next week, I am the fort on the island, Nick Ringill.
I am snapping at your heels, Omen Said.
We are calling the twilight hours down from a heaven home, the feckless momes.
And this is the marked card. Talk Tull to Me. And welcome back to the Clan McKinnon final poker tournament. We've got down to the last 2 players here, and it looks like the cards are being dealt for the last time. What do we see over there? We can just see, if we look in our left-hand camera, we can see what cards player Mac Tull has got going on over there.
Oh, he's being dealt an ace, a 3, and a joker.
A joker in that deck. Oh, blimey, fucking my cat's out. If we go over here, we got Seamus McKinnon, our lifelong champion who was never lost a game in his life. Unusual type of player here. Plays in the nude. And we've got his cards coming up here. Oh.
7. And another 7. And a final 7. And for some reason, he gets 5 cards, and it's another 7.
That's a 5-7 card draw there. Again, very unusual hand. Not even sure what the score is. I don't think we've had that kind of a hand dealt on this tournament since 1261, the famous plague tournament back in the 1200s here.
Now, Angus, this is standard card play for Seamus, as he always manages to pull the best cards from the deck according to his hand. And
That's right.
no one has ever questioned it. And who am I to start?
Who am I to get my head cut off by
By a nude Scot.
by the Clan McKinnon Claymore, which hangs over our heads as we broadcast live from the BBC Scots language service.
Quite literally, it's right there.
If we say anything bad about Clan McKinnon, the best clan in the world, our heads will be cut off, just like the heads of the commentators last year. Oh, I'm sorry, we've just got a bet going on. Seamus has put in 31 ships, and he's called the other player's bet.
Durgal's bet, Durgal decides to stay. Seamus raises him 1 goat. 1 goat.
Aye.
It's a bit of a bluff, I'm seeing. I think
Yes.
Durgal knows that he's beaten, but he's going to try, even though there are 5 7s in front of Seamus.
That's right, and Durgal is asking for 1 more card from the dealer. The dealer is, of course, King Wartldich from the 800s, and he's been dealing this game for over 1,200 years, and tradition is tradition.
Who are we to question it?
Who are we to get our heads cut off by a Scottish Claymore, just like the commentators last year, God rest their souls.
And God praise Clan McKinnon.
And God praise Clan McKinnon. All right, he's got 1 more card. We're about to see what it is.
4th card. It
Oh,
is
my
the
lord.
Maid from an Old Maid deck. It is an instant lose. Yet again, Seamus takes the bet. Seamus
right.
takes it.
And Turgle is getting his head chopped off as we speak.
There it goes.
This has been the reporter on the Scots language BBC 6. I'm Seamus McFinnigan.
I'm Fergal McFerguson.
And this has been the card game of the century again. And it's all down to Clan McKinnon, who is the second best clan. Oh, the first best clan. Oh, no!
I do have to say, Clan McKinnon, much like the Talk Tull to Me, is a proud member of the Feckless Mobs audio network. They're the best clan.
And this is David Watson reporting live from the card game here. I'm just stepping over the bodies of my former commentators here, and we're now moving on to the snooker tournament. Stay tuned.
This is Francis Wilson. The weather is on a change, and there is a nor'easter blowing in under everyone's kilt.
30% chance of blood spraying everywhere.
Please dress accordingly.